Today, me and Tuck are going to show you the lazy way to grow potatoes and get massive yields. Let's go! I have been growing potatoes for years, but last year I tried something new and the results were astounding. I asked myself, how could I grow more potatoes in less space with less work? I thought it would be a lot easier if I didn't have to dig a hole and bury the potatoes and could just place them on the ground. I picked an area that got full sun, pulled back the wood chips and laid down a 1 foot by 8 foot raised bed I put together using old 2x10s that I had laying around. Then, in early spring, I grabbed my seed potatoes that I ordered from Fedco, and instead of digging into the ground, I took the lazy approach and just laid the potatoes on the surface of the soil 6 inches apart. The potato plants will sprout from the eyes, grow upwards, and the potatoes will form along the roots of the plant. So it's not necessary to dig a hole and place them in it with this method of planting. I went through and laid all my potatoes out. I planted some chieftain potatoes, some dark red Norland ones, and some strawberry paw potatoes. After I had all my potatoes laid out, I filled up some 5-gallon buckets with my homemade soil and covered the potatoes with about 4 to 5 inches of soil. Next, I added some turbo tuber fertilizer that I grabbed from Fedco. You can just use an all-purpose fertilizer if you want, but I wanted to try this out. I took my fertilizer, I mixed it into the top few inches of the soil. After that, I watered the potatoes in and no digging was necessary. 20 days later, the potatoes sprouted and were looking super healthy. You can see they were getting taller, so I added some soil to the bed around the potato plants. This encourages more roots to form and leads to bigger harvests. It's also why I used a 10-inch board for the frame of my bed. Growing them in a bed like this makes them super easy to maintain and conserves water, because when I water them, it stays in the bed instead of the water draining off the side of a mound. I also mixed some fertilizer into my soil when I was hilling up the potatoes. After adding more soil and watering the plants in, they looked happy, healthy, and strong. When exposed to light, potatoes turn green and develop a mildly toxic substance called solanine. So you want to make sure that you're going out there and covering your potatoes with either a mulch or some soil. 8 days later, the plants doubled in size. The color and the health of the plants was encouraging to see. At this point, I was already getting excited about the future harvest. 7 days after that, the plants doubled in size again, and you could barely even see the raised bed at the bottom anymore. And all I did was just water them here and there as needed and let them do their thing. 5 days later, the plants were almost as large as me when I was kneeling down. The size and the health of the plants blew me away. A week later, the plants started flowering. When the plants blossom, stop hilling the potatoes. The potato plants flowering is a sign that the first new potatoes are ready to harvest. Tuck, what you doing, dude? This guy, every time I turn around, he's sneaking over and eating these asparagus. He absolutely loves them. While we're here, me and Tuck wanted to mention that we're having a massive sale on the website. Buy a raised bed, get 20% off JP's Secret Stuff fertilizer. Now is the perfect time to grab a raised bed, grab some fertilizer, and get your garden growing. Check it out at teamgrow.us. And while you're at it, don't forget to spam some hearts down low for the young king. He's already on to the next one. Dude, save some asparagus for us, man. What the heck? About a month later, the potato plants died back, which means the tubers are fully grown, and it was time to see what kind of harvest I could get from an 8 square foot section. I laid out a tarp to place the potatoes on when harvesting. Finally, the moment of truth came. I pulled my first potato plant out of the ground, and the production was insane, like nothing I had ever seen before. Then I pulled the next plant out and it was just as loaded as the one before. Some of the potatoes were massive. I was pulling about 15 to 20 beautiful potatoes off each plant. I went through, harvested the rest, and the production did not slow down at all. I was digging up pound after pound of potatoes. After digging the last potato out and seeing just how many I grabbed, it was time to slice a few open and to see how they looked inside. Then I took one and sliced it open. It was perfect inside, really nice white flesh. I couldn't ask for better. Next, I grabbed some crates and cut up some burlap to put at the bottom, then filled up the crates with the potatoes. And I put the small potatoes in seedling trays I had with holes at the bottom so I could cook them up first. By the end of it, I had 3 crates full of potatoes and some seedling trays filled as well. These are the potatoes that fed me and Tuck through the winter. Growing potatoes like this is super easy because you don't have to dig at all. It's also really easy to hill the soil up around the potatoes because it keeps it in this small area. Plus, I used less soil because so much of the bed was just filled with potatoes. I was able to squeeze potatoes into a small, narrow area, giving each potato a 1 foot by 6 inch section to grow in. Another thing is this lazy style makes rotating where to plant potatoes simple. All I have to do is pick this bed up, move it to a new location, drop it down, place some potatoes at the bottom and cover them up. Also, growing potatoes in a narrow area like this allows for good circulation, which greatly reduces the likelihood of your plants getting fungal issues like blight. This way of growing reminds me of something that Bill Mollison talked about, how the edge of the system is the most productive. It's where multiple systems meet. He would say the edge extends 3 feet. And this bed is only 1 foot wide, so it's like the whole thing is an edge. Growing on an edge makes the plants less attractive to pests. It also allows us to grow different kinds of beneficials and companions around our potatoes. If we were to just plant a big area of potatoes, that would be a lot easier for the pests to spot it, to come in and destroy our plants. Before we let you go, there are a few things me and Tuck need to show you. The first one is right above me here. The Rainier cherry is blooming. It's almost in full bloom. I can hear the bees. It looks beautiful, and soon it's going to be loaded with sweet cherries. There's nothing like coming out here and grabbing some fresh cherries right off the tree. Right below me here, we've got radishes that are popping out of the ground. These will be ready in only a few weeks. The rhubarb is looking fantastic. This means strawberries are on the horizon. There's more stuff popping up in our beds. We transplanted out some cold hardy veggies like tatsoi and mustard. There's still a few weeks till our last expected frost. Spinach coming up, more radishes. Next to me here, the apple tree, the Honeycrisp, is getting ready to wake up also, but you gotta see some of the trees in the other food forest. Check out these blueberries. These things are going to be absolutely loaded this year. The flowers are about to burst open. And then right next to me here, look at this Asian pear. How beautiful does that look in full bloom? And can you believe it? This is actually a fruit tree. Not only does it look fantastic, it's gonna have massive production on it. We've got the young king below us, working hard, hanging out in the shade, making sure nothing sneaks into the garden. Make sure you spam some hearts down low if you love seeing Tuck in the videos. Like I mentioned earlier, this way of growing potatoes truly saves space. And it also helped me to save water because all the watering was concentrated into one bed and no water was wasted. Not to mention, it gave me the biggest and healthiest harvest that I've ever had. Me and Tuck encourage you to try this method out and get some potatoes planted, even if you only have a 5 square foot area or just a 1 square foot area. Or you can just grow potatoes in pots. They grow fantastic like that. The important thing is to get some potatoes planted so you could go through and dig up the treasures right out of the ground. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you got something out of it. Tuck is looking for one of his favorite snacks from the garden, the fresh asparagus. He's literally been going around and just stealing all the asparagus. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm even going to get any because he's just taking all of them. But when you're the little boss, that's what you can do. You can do whatever you want. Me and Tuck wanted to send a thank you to one of our new channel members, Brenda Griffiths. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow. Thanks for having your hand in everything we're doing out here. We had a blast. We hope you guys got some value from this video. And Tuck and James will be back at you again real soon. We